My mystery guest today is the longtime columnist of the Fourth Weekly's column, Chow Baby. So the Weekly kept this, the identity of this writer a secret for many years, and we're going to reveal his or her identity right now. Eric Griffey.
Hello.
All right. Former associate editor Eric Griffey is Chow Baby. So you're right. The column ended last year because of the pandemic, sadly for Fort Worth. But how did this column start? Give us the background.
I believe Christy Goldfinch, the associate editor who was prior to Anthony, who preceded me, Anthony Mariani, the editor-in-chief now. Christy, I think, was the first Chow Baby. She certainly was the most well-known. She's the one that kind of branded the column and kind of made it really popular. And so she stepped down after about 10 years of doing it, I think. And Gail Reeves, who was the editor-in-chief at the time, kind of put out a call to people who might be interested in applying. I was a foodie and sometimes food writer at the time, although that wasn't my main gig. So I applied, and she hired me. And then in June of 2011, I wrote my first column.
How would you describe what her vision was? And I'm sure you changed it a little bit.
Yeah, her formula was she would always go to 2 restaurants in a week, maybe sometimes more, and she would kind of tie them together with a theme. So mine was a little more structured, a little more free form. I wanted to write more about topics like this chef is moving to this restaurant, or what are we doing with all these chains? Just things like that. So. And I don't know that she didn't do that, but I know that's what I wanted to focus on more, in addition to reviewing restaurants and bringing our readers all the hot food news. The main difference is Chow Baby could just come out, although often wouldn't, but could come out and just say, hey, this thing sucks, or this restaurant was a bad idea. Where if you're doing a more objective food review, you wouldn't really do that. You would just...
Maybe one dish was bad, but the others were good.
You wouldn't say this sucks. You would more describe. You describe it negatively.
Okay.
Whereas Chow Baby could be a little more wild, a little more unwieldy, and very honest. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to keep the column anonymous. Is because so I wouldn't get beat up walking around town when I would either dole out some bad news or a bad review, or I would write an opinion that might be controversial to a lot of people.
And even within the paper, it was a little insulated because this is an independent voice within the Weekly. They'll still buy ads, but this Chow Baby person maybe just totally slammed them.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times, and Christy Goldfinch, my predecessor, had this problem too. Like Lee Newquist, our publisher, would walk by my desk. Hey, thanks. We lost $10,000 worth of ads for that column. We appreciate that.
But it was an hilarious column, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah, but I think he believed, as did I, that being a very honest and objective voice in the community, particularly in a food scene that's just kind of very cheerleadery, was more valuable to readers than just getting out the pom-poms and talking about everything great is, and would ultimately bring in more money.
Yeah. Did you get the sense from talking to chefs, they may not have known that you were Chow Baby, but were chefs following this?
Yeah.
Yeah. For honest feedback.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times what I got from my email, in fact, I wrote a few columns about emails and messages that I got, were chefs emailing me, chefs who had given a bad review, emailing me about how I didn't get it. About they got a bad review because there was something about their food or their concept that I didn't understand. To which I would respond.
Defensive.
Yeah, there was a lot of defensive. And one, I know that they were used to the normal, very cuddly coverage they got from other news outlets. Yeah. But what I would always explain to them, I had good street cred. I worked in the restaurant biz for almost 2 decades.
Okay.
I also, in addition to being Chow Baby, when I took over as associate editor, I led the dining and nightlife coverage of our area. And then I was also editor-in-chief of the ill-fated Zest 817, which was also knocked out by the pandemic. So,
yes, you've done a lot.
Yes.
You've worked in the industry, you've written about the industry, and you've been an editor covering the industry.
Right. So there's almost no facet of this that I haven't done. There's no job in a restaurant I haven't worked at.
Well, I can say objectively, just having talked to people in the community, it was probably our most famous, one of our most popular sections of the paper.
My understanding was, and the last time anyone told me about this was years ago. Dana Crumbliss, Mariani, still worked there. She said it was our most popular column, or most widely read.
I know people would just say they would grab the paper and go straight to Chow Baby. A lot of them did so because they thought they were just very funny. It was just...
That was one thing that I tried to bring to the column. Not that Christy wasn't funny, because she often was. She's a very witty, brilliant writer. But one of the things I wanted to do is just... I wanted to write the sort of column that I would like to read. Yeah. And so I like to think I have a pretty good sense of humor, so I would just kind of, I would try and find the joy and the humor in things. And oftentimes that was more in picking the theme that tied certain restaurants together, which was kind of forced sometimes, but sometimes it was gold.
Folks who are on Facebook can check out I ate this food and I liked it. You get that group and you're the administrator and you kind of throw interesting topics out there and let people kind of talk amongst themselves.
Yeah, so I basically wanted the food page to be kind of an online magazine, like a hub or an aggregate, a place where people can get anything from restaurant recommendations to great articles.
Chow Baby, Eric Griffey, we appreciate the 10 years you spent at the column and all your time as associate editor of the Weekly. We know you're working now as a digital content journalist with Spectrum News.
That's right, Spectrum News.
So you can check that out. You'll see his news stories. You can definitely go to the Facebook page and follow us there, follow him there. So you're still around. It's good to catch up with you.
I'm still around. Yeah, great talking to you.
We can't get rid of you, so.
I'm like a bad rash.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, Eric. It's been fun.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.